On March 25, 2021, the Chinese Communist Party criticized global brands including H&M and Nike for boycotting cotton produced in Xinjiang province. These decisions of boycotting cotton were based on the recommendations made by the Better Cotton Initiative (BCI), a non-profit multi-stakeholder governance group which established that Xinjiang cotton does not meet labor standards. The CCP spokeswoman, Hua Chunying, denied the human rights abuse allegations and has further criticized America's history of slavery. By bringing up America's history of slavery, she intends to cover up and downplay her own country's abuse towards ethnic minorities in Xinjiang. Her comments followed a standard CCP propaganda template. They are intended to distract brainwashed Chinese citizens and foreigners unfamiliar with China. We will debunk her comments and discuss how to defeat the CCP's chicanery. Hua Chunying started by showing her disdain. Boycotting Xinjiang cotton is foreign companies' loss. Xinjiang currently accounts for 87% of China's cotton output, or 21% of the global cotton output. There are two immediate effects on the global brands for giving up Xinjiang cotton. Firstly, the global brands need to find an alternative cotton supply, which could be more expensive and will cause disruption in the supply chain. Secondly, the global brands will lose significant revenue in China as the CCP mobilizes Chinese customers to boycott products from the aforementioned brands. For example, 5% of H&M's revenue in 2019 came from China, while 18% of Nike's revenue in 2020 was based in China. Why would any company tolerate such a significant loss? Well, perhaps they are not losing much in the long run. By supporting human rights of ethnic minorities, these global corporations are protecting their ethos and reputation. Having a stronger brand association with human rights may win more customers in the long run, promote better business ethics, and hence generate more revenue. Hua Chunying's disdain is unfounded. The Chinese textile industry and their workers will suffer a long-term loss. Hua Chunying continues, forced labor doesn't exist in Xinjiang. 40% of Xinjiang's cotton is picked by machines. Machine-picked cotton certainly does not have the forced labor issue, but the accusation is about the hand-picked cotton. Hand-picked cotton is preferred by the buyers and sold at a premium, as it contains less impurities than the machine-picked cotton. Forced labor in Xinjiang is widely documented by various international organizations. The latest report by 50 independent experts titled The Uyghur Genocide, an examination of China's breaches of the 1948 Genocide Convention, provides clear evidence of forced labor in cotton-picking operations in Xinjiang. Uyghur detainees are systematically transferred to cotton fields and factories adjacent to the camps or located hundreds of kilometers away in Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region or in eastern China. These forced labor programs can also be connected to internment, as satellite imagery has identified masses of people wearing identical uniforms transferred between the two sites. Forced labor factories have been verified on at least 135 of the HUAR detention sites. In 2018, the government further transferred more than 500,000 people from 3 Uyghur regions through the government's coercive labor schemes into cotton-picking operations. Hua Chunying accused the U.S. of using slaves to pick cotton. Forced labor in the U.S.? Let's remind her that slavery in the U.S. ended more than 150 years ago. A nation went into a civil war and lost 620,000 lives to end slavery is certainly qualified to tell the CCP to stop forced labor. The end of America's slavery also shows that the U.S. system can self-correct mistakes and keep improving, which her government is incapable of doing thus far. The CCP also likes to pick on the racial issues in the U.S. today. It's an attempt to smear the American system with a few outliers. If we argue with the CCP about the outliers, we have already lost the narrative war because there are always outliers. The real argument is about the system. The US has rule of law to protect human rights, but China still exercises modern slavery, and victims do not get any forms of legal protection. Hua Chunying further points out that Chinese cannot be bullied or disobeyed by foreigners. Equating Chinese to the CCP is the most successful trick to incite nationalism. When the CCP was accused of forced labor, the party told Chinese citizens that foreigners and foreign governments are bullying the Chinese people. Many brainwashed Chinese citizens felt offended and rallied for the CCP to boycott the global cooperations. As China's textile industry loses export partners and global brands shut down stores in China, those Chinese who unfortunately get laid off should not blame foreigners, but they should instead blame the CCP for human rights abuses in Xinjiang and inciting nationalism. For Westerners, it is important to differentiate the CCP from Chinese citizens. They must keep in mind that Chinese people did not elect the CCP or commit human rights abuses, and they are also victims under the system. Seizing the CCP officials' overseas assets can hold the CCP accountable while avoid hurting the Chinese people. We have so far reviewed the common chicaneries from the CCP. How shall we defeat them? The key is to play offense. Truth is the most effective weapon. We cannot be bogged down in the endless noise and distraction the CCP throws at us. Instead, we need to stay focused on the truth. Please share evidence of the CCP's crimes with your families and friends. Truth can bulldoze through all the lies. Action is the only language the CCP can understand. If the CCP didn't use forced labor, it should welcome independent investigators into Xinjiang. However, the CCP has been rejecting international organizations' requests to visit Xinjiang, and it has been calling Xinjiang an internal affair. This is not an issue for debate, since human rights are above sovereign rights. The CCP's refusal of a transparent investigation implies that it is hiding abuses, and the world should move ahead with harsher sanctions. For example, President Trump issued a ban on imports of Xinjiang cotton and tomatoes on January 13, 2021. The BCI and global brands have boycotted Xinjiang cotton. Individual consumers also need to ask where their products come from and consume ethically. In summary, the CCP's chicanery cannot fool Chinese and the world forever. If we keep spreading the truth and vote with our money, more people will learn about the CCP's crimes and join the force to hold it accountable.